Let me ask you guys a question. Do you know who Paul Harvey is? I've been watching this clip. It's a 3.5-minute clip I'm going to share with you guys. It's called If I Were the Devil. It's from 1965. I guess this guy was a very prominent religious character. Don't know anything about him other than that. But I've been thinking lately. And I want you guys to let me know at the end of this video. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Should society, generally speaking, be Christian? At least, or whatever, like, let's just say religious in general. Because I'm listening to this video a few times in the last few days, and again, I'm not a very religious person at all. But I do wonder if most of society did turn back towards religion, would we be in a better place today than we are now? So I'm gonna play this video. We're gonna have a look at it. Now, before we do get into it, please don't forget to like and subscribe. This really helps grow the channel. I know this is a little bit different than what I usually cover, but I just want to let you guys have a look at this in case you haven't seen it. So it's called If I Were the Devil by Paul Harvey.
If I were the devil. If I were the devil. If I were the prince of darkness, I'd want to engulf the whole world in darkness, and I'd have 1/3 of its real estate and 4/5 of its population, but I wouldn't be happy until I had seized the ripest apple on the tree. Thee. So I'd set about, however necessary, to take over the United States. I'd subvert the churches first. I'd begin with a campaign of whispers. With the wisdom of a serpent, I would whisper to you as I whispered to Eve, do as you please. To the young, I would whisper that the Bible is a myth. I would convince them that man created God instead of the other way around. I would confide that what's bad is good and what's good is square. And the old I would teach to pray after me, Our Father, which art in Washington. And then I'd get organized. I'd educate authors in how to make lurid literature exciting so that anything else would appear dull and uninteresting. I'd threaten TV with dirtier movies and vice versa. I'd peddle narcotics to whom I could. I'd sell alcohol to ladies and gentlemen of distinction. I'd tranquilize the rest with pills. If I were the devil...
Sound familiar? You see what I mean? We're just getting started here, but I mean, I don't have a lot of commentary to add, but I think you guys can see what I'm getting at here.
Well, I'd soon have families at war with themselves, churches at war with themselves, and nations at war with themselves, until each in its turn was consumed. And with promises of higher ratings, I'd have mesmerizing media fanning the flames. If I were the devil, I would encourage schools to refine young intellects, but neglect to discipline emotions. Just let those run wild. Until before you knew it, you'd have to have drug-sniffing dogs and metal detectors at every schoolhouse door. Within a decade, I'd have prisons overflowing. I'd have judges promoting pornography. Soon I could evict God from the courthouse, then from the schoolhouse, and then from the houses of Congress. And in his own churches, I would substitute psychology for religion and deify science. I would lure priests and pastors into misusing boys and girls and church money. If I were the devil, I'd make the symbol of Easter an egg and the symbol of Christmas a bottle. If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who wanted until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious. And what?
I mean, what's he said so far that's not correct? The only thing I can think of is that we don't have metal detectors and drug-sniffing dogs at every school, but you can also argue maybe we should. It's a hell of a prediction from 1965. Everything he said is either on its way or it's happened. Craziness.
Will you bet? I couldn't get whole states to promote gambling as the way to get rich. I would caution against extremes in hard work, in patriotism, in moral conduct. I would convince the young that marriage is old-fashioned, that swinging is more fun, that what you see on TV is the way to be. And thus I could undress you in public, and I could lure you into bed with diseases for which there is no cure. In other words, if I were the devil, I'd just keep right on doing what he's doing.
And that's the end of it. The video does go on a little bit longer, but it's just this picture kind of zooming in. But that's the end of it. I mean, my God. And I don't have a whole lot to say here other than what does he get wrong? A lot of people will say, and again, society wasn't perfect in the 60s, nowhere close to it, but nuclear family was strong. Divorce rates were low. You could raise a family on a single income. No plastics in the water. Strong middle class. Were there problems? Yeah, I mean, sure. I'm not saying we need to go all the way back to the 60s, but it wasn't all bad either. And if you look at what society has become today, after all these predictions have come true, look at all the degeneracy, look at the divorce rate, look at the birth rate, the poverty rate. Is the middle class thriving right now? Is society in general thriving right now? Of course not. So let me know what you think. Do you think that, generally speaking, this does not mean 100% of people, but do you think that most people should return to a more of a religious mindset so that we can get a little bit more wholesomeness back into society? Because I think we might need to do that.